Most contractors think marketing is about getting a few more leads. But what happens when a company builds a marketing machine so big that it generates hundreds of thousands of visitors every single month, operates in dozens of cities, over 250 million in revenue? That's exactly what A1 Garage Door Service has done. They built one of the most sophisticated digital marketing systems in the entire home service industry. We're talking about a company with 86 Google Business Profiles, over 94,000 Google reviews, thousands of SEO pages driving traffic, and a massive paid advertising operation. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how their marketing works. We're going to look at their website strategy, local SEO dominance, paid advertising campaigns, review generation systems, and the infrastructure they built to generate leads at scale. And more importantly, I'll show you what contractors can actually learn from this, and where even companies as big as A1 have room to improve. All right, let's dive in. What's up, everyone? This is Mauricio Cardenal with Contractor Marketing Pros. Today, we're going to be examining A1 Garage Doors. We're super excited to talk to you about the online marketing strategy about A1 Garage Doors. They're one of the most impressive companies that I've looked at in terms of online marketing and the strategy, really advanced, and they really have a great story. And I think Tommy Mello is one of the guys that I see that is really doing great things in the home service space in terms of growth. I think he's kind of broken the barrier and the mold in terms of the actual growth for what's actual possible in the home service space. So before we get into that, I want to talk about a little bit about their background and give you like an insight into what I saw. So overall, right, they have 86 Google Business Profiles. They have over 94,000 reviews, and this is just Google. They didn't count the other reviews from Yelp and Facebook. According to the website, they have 16 acquisitions, so acquired 16 other companies. They're in 15 states and in 54 locations. And according to information that I found, they were bought out by private equity in 2022, early 2023. And what they saw is that it wasn't a full exit, but it was a recapitalization. Basically, the terms weren't disclosed, but according to a podcast that I listened to with Tommy Mello, they sold for $570 million. Their goal is to really reach $1 billion. I think they're over 350 million in revenue, and their goal is to reach $1 billion. I think they're gonna reach that goal because they have the right track record and success of doing that, and I think they're gonna be successful in doing that part. So the first thing I want to look at is their website. Their website is built on a WordPress Elementor website. So WordPress Elementor is the same page builder that we use. It's one of the most popular page builders out there. It allows you to create looking websites that are fast, easy, and clean with great design, but also designed for SEO. At the end of the day, these guys are a local business. They know what they are, and the main goal of the website is to get found locally to generate leads. That's the main goal. They have a ton of tracking that is in terms of the different tracking, Ahrefs. They have different players on the site. They have different tracking tools. Looks like they have using WP Engine for hosting, Cloudflare for CDN. So these are the kind of different tools they use, but I'm not getting into that conversation here. But overall, if you look at the site, they have 3 forms of communication, right? If you look at that site in terms of communication, they have the call, where people can call right away. In the home services space, people that call typically have the highest close rate. About 40% of inbound phone calls turn into a sale. They also have the chat window. They use a company called Live Chat that allows them to schedule information. And then also they have the ability to schedule online for an estimate. And they use a company called Service Titan for the CRM. This Service Titan allows them to also track all their metrics like CPA, cost per lead, cost per booked appointment. It also allows them to track their techs and really deliver the most efficient routes to the specific routes. So they know the actual tracking information where people are going. And it really provides the best information where, hey, this person is there according to this route. This is the most efficient route. It kind of saves money in the field and all these different things. So it's really advanced information. So the other thing they do is that they also have a cost estimator on their site, which I'll go over in a second. But if you look at the site, I'm going to go over the actual size of the site, but they have 9,000 pages, I think 7,500 pages. They have a ton of location pages and a ton of content that they're consistently posting on a consistent basis. These guys have been doing SEO for a long time. So that's why you see the benefits of that overall. But the site is very clean. They have offers on the site, which I'll go over in a second. Here are the trust factors local trust signals on that makes it really provide trust into the actual person that is searching and person that is looking at. And not only have a ton of Google reviews, they also have a ton of reviews on the different lead aggregators. Every major home service brand uses lead aggregators. People that say they don't use lead aggregators, and they say a lot of bad things about these companies like Home Advisor, but the companies that are doing well, that know what they're doing, can really use lead aggregators to scale their business. So that's something that I think is an excuse. If you look at the services, right, they have services, location pages, services tied to the keywords. These are all things that really impact. Here's something like look at this image, is people smiling, right? People happy. That really provides a warm feeling to the person that's using. Their target market is basically, they have different avatars, but their target market is the homeowner. Maybe it's the woman that it's 40 years old and older that they want to look at as somebody as professional. Now, other thing they have is a bunch of content on their pages, but they also have a bunch of offers, which I'll go over right now. If you look at their offers here, service and repair, here their service pages, the garage stores, garage door openers. These are all the main services they provide, and then they have a ton of locations. Each state has different main locations, and each main location has different suburbs that they target, right? So let's go over the actual offers. Now, let's click on this. If you look at the offers, they have many different promotions. One of the things that I always talk to our clients about is having offers. What this does is that it helps drive click-through. It also drives leads. That's the most important thing, right? It drives leads. What is the main objective of the website? Well, to drive clicks and to drive traffic and to drive leads. So what this does is allow people to people that maybe not interested right away, but it gives an incentive to click, right? It's something that they want to click right away to actually provide the offer. So they have different offers. I'm sure they've tested these offers before, and it really kind of provides that impact overall. Now, if you look at the survey is something that I'm sure, I don't know how long they've been doing it, but with the survey, one thing that I talk to people like Marcus Sheridan is that people today, especially homeowners, they want to know the price before they're searching for information. So people are searching for information. If you're not providing that information to them, then it's kind of, you're not capturing the lead information, right? So what this does is it allows people to capture the information that maybe are not really interested in services, but allows them to kind of warm up to your actual services to actually provide that. I think overall, the survey is really well done. It's really well designed. The only thing that maybe I would change is from 1 through 11, when you provide the actual questions in terms of how many questions they have, they're more likely to drop off on this. So I'm kind of curious to see what tools they're using to track the actual drop off. So there's actually different tools, and tools like Google Analytics, Microsoft Clarity, surveys, that where you can actually see where the drop off is. So if you're getting ton of traffic, these guys are getting a ton of traffic, you can actually optimize for the types of questions you're asking, and then you can see where the drop off is. So if you see 1 through 11 here, you can see the different questions that people are asking, and you can see how people behave to determine if people are dropping off at certain questions. So I'm sure they've tested these questions on there, and that really gives the information to the actual this. Now, other thing is that based on the questions and based on their MQLs, it can determine how many marketing qualified leads are getting from the survey. And then it can assign based on the sales reps and based on their percentage of closing. So this is all mostly can be automated through data. And this is how really you can use AI to really make a big difference on these different things. What happens? So basically when somebody goes to the survey, they basically go to a lead capture page. Now I'm going to check how they built this here. Let's see what they did, if they're using any type of software. Let's see this. They're using Microsoft Clarity, Ahrefs. So I wonder if they're using a specific estimator tool or a software, or they just built their own tool. It looks like they kind of built their own tool. They probably built their own tool that really kind of helps them. But there's different tools that you can use that really kind of makes a big impact on that. That's something that, and then when people actually click through all the way down, and they actually go to the page and they try the estimator, and they actually click on it, and they go to this, there's an actual lead capture page where people schedule an appointment, or they can call right away. So it's just a way to capture the information, because basically what this is doing is basically putting all this into their CRM. They're putting into the information, and they're signing different reps based on location and based on the actual criteria. Next thing I want to look at is their actual local SEO. Now, they have 86 locations on Google Business Profile. If you look at their local SEO, this location, I'm not sure if this location generates the most revenue, but is a location that actually has the most reviews. And it's probably the oldest location, but they have the right business category. Their category, look at it, it's pretty interesting, right? Their main category is garage door supplier. So that's probably the keyword they're ranking for. That is getting the best results. That is their main service that they want to rank for. They have a ton of reviews, a 4.8 rating, which is very high. They have a booking online feature. When I look at their posting, they're posting about once a day on their Google Business Profile, and they respond to a review right away. It's a great way. They maintain a really good job with local SEO. It's very commendable what they're doing. The thing that I saw, right, if you look at this picture, this is a branded picture. It has their trucks, and I'm going to talk about the brand and how they really changed their brand about 5 or 6 years ago. That really had a big impact on their online presence. But this is something that most home service companies do not do. It's just something where they have a really strong brand, people that are smiling, that are happy. Even if they're not happy, they're happy on the pictures. It really makes a big difference. It provides that warm feeling of the result. Now, if you look at the reviews, about us section, this is the ability to book online right now. The other thing I want to talk about is this. They are doing a really great job with local SEO. Now, if you look at local SEO, look at the Phoenix location. And one of the ways, right, even if they have their main location, they have 12,000 reviews, it's going to be impossible for them to rank outside the 15 to 20 mile radius they're in. But if they want to go in the actual metro, Phoenix metro location, right, they have a bunch of locations here. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 locations in that wide area. Now, I don't know how big this area is, 1 to 2 hour drive time, but this is Scottsdale, Phoenix metro. There's millions of people in the space. Even if they're dominating their 15 to 20 mile radius, the important thing to understand is this. They probably don't have offices in those locations. Maybe they do or not, but they have verified locations where they're actually getting reviews, and they're doing local SEO for each of these locations. And local SEO is actually more important today than actual traditional SEO. So keep that in mind if you're a local contractor that really wants to get more leads for your business. Now, let's examine their SEO, right? So we use a tool called SEMrush. And SEMrush is basically a tool that allows you to kind of look at domain overview, the AI search, SEO, the website traffic, how much organic traffic they're getting, all these different things that gives you overview. But if you look at overall, right, what I found is that obviously they're getting a ton of traffic, right? A ton of traffic. The AI visibility is consistently going up. They're not the highest right now. At the end of the day, like, people had to adjust last year. I don't know if how advanced they are in terms of geo, AEO. Obviously, one of the things that's happened is that you have to kind of change the content, the way you write it for AI search, because it's really impacting the way people search today. So that is having a big impact. But if you look at the trends, right, overall, they had a high of traffic, organic traffic, according to SEMrush in September of 2024, about 275,000. And it's consistently gone down since that time. And now it's kind of consistently gone up. So they're kind of increasing traffic in that time. And it's kind of hard to tell what happened and to actually provide a deep analysis. But two things, right, that I found when I was kind of doing research is that there was a update, Google Core update around this time, that it was a helpful content update that impacted a lot of brands. And what happened is that Google kind of updated their guidelines in terms of EAT, right? So you have to kind of provide more expertise in terms of the content you write. Some of the content that we found on there is kind of thin in terms of the location pages, in terms of the actual website. So that might have impacted them. And the other thing, what happened last year is that AI overviews rolled out for companies. So what that happened is that a lot of people are searching on Google, and they're getting their information from the overview. So that's kind of stealing traffic. It's called the era of zero-click search. And that really impacted a lot of brands. So they're appearing a lot in AI reviews. If you see this in terms of SERP distributions, SERP is basically search engine. Organic, 78% of the traffic of where they're appearing is organic, but only 1.5% is AI overviews. So it's still a minority, but that's kind of the big factor that you see. Other thing is this, right? You look at cited sources. Their main sources are Angie's List and Yelp and Reddit. It's very interesting if you look at that. So those are the things that we found with the actual on there. So it's interesting that their top keywords, emergency garage door on the maps, they're probably dominating that keyword. If you look at, it's a big volume, 110,000 search volume, so which is huge. And obviously a lot of the keyword is based on their brand because they have a big brand. And there's a good mixture. Most of the mixture is actually commercial and transactional, which is more of the bottom of the funnel where people are actually generating leads in that time frame. So those are the things that I found. In terms of the actual technical SEO, we use a tool called Screaming Frog that analyzes their technical SEO, and really didn't find a lot of issues with the website, which is surprising. If you look at most of the services, most of the companies that I examined, a lot of technical SEO, that's really the main thing that they're kind of missing. But overall, very few errors. It crawled 9,136 pages. Not all of them were actual URLs. A lot of them were actual images, but it's a really big site. And those are the kind of the things that happened. These are things for the meta descriptions of external security responsible. So if you look at the meta descriptions, there's some things that really minor things that they can adjust, right? Not really that big of a deal, but overall, again, really good job with the actual architecture of the site in terms of the technical side. Now, there's something that I can do to improve the actual SEO that we found, right? First of all, what they can do is basically improve the content, update old content, right? Update old content with new content written in a way that is more relevant, more geo-focused, which is more generative engine optimization, provide more FAQs. So one thing with their site, I didn't see a lot of FAQs. Actually, I do have FAQs on the site, so correct me if I'm wrong. So do have FAQs. So that's one thing that they could have done. Other thing that they could do is more digital PR. I'm not sure if they're doing PR, right? They might be doing PR already, but more digital PR. Tommy Mello has a big brand. So that brand really helps A1 Garage because that brand is really helping drive a lot of the actual growth for their business. So more PR, digital PR, that can really help some of the pages. It can reduce cannibalization. It can help with the service hub pages. So those are things that they can do to improve. But again, this is when you're looking at SEO overall, like most common way, especially if the site has been around for a long time, is updating old content instead of writing new content, just updating old content. Something that for us, we're still doing on our website as well. So updating some of the old content instead of writing new content can really help with the SEO. Other thing I want to talk about is the rebrand. So they use this company called KickCharge to rebrand their business. This is something that I think they did maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And if you look at what they did, this is their old brand. It was kind of like they say it was kind of blanded, but their new brand is this. It's kind of more branded. And this really propelled them into really building a recognizable brand. One thing that Tommy Mello said on a podcast that I listened to was one of his biggest regrets in the business was actually using A1 Garage door. That's a very common name that he wishes he had a different name. So that actually caused a lot of confusion with people that are searching. So that's something that for sure, when you think about when you actually create a name, is you have to really think about looking at if there's anybody out there that has created the same name, if there is any actual DBAs or people that are using that. That's something that you search for. So that's something you have to really think about is actually the name of the brand overall. Now, let's look at their Facebook. They're really consistently posting on social media. That's something they do, right? They consistently post content on social media. They post a lot of the work. They post community images, community events. They do the traditional like 5-mile famous where they go to people's homes. They post a lot of content. They post a lot of testimonials, a lot of reviews. They're just posting a lot of content. At the end of the day, this is something that you can do on your own. And stuff like this is not really expensive, man. It's just doing it, just kind of taking action and doing it. So they're consistently posting content on a consistent basis on Facebook, Instagram, all these different channels. They're really doing a good job with that approach. One thing that for sure they can improve on is definitely their website in terms of speed. If you look at their site, we use a tool called Google Page Speed Insight to determine the speed of the site. Mobile is only a score of 39. So I think that's something that they can do to improve. It actually gives you recommendations on what to do to improve. It really comes down to some of the images. Also on desktop, it's a performance of 70. Again, it's a big website. It's a heavy website. So again, there's things that they can do to improve the speed that obviously impacts SEO. The other thing I look at is, now we use another tool called Spyfu. And Spyfu is a tool that allows you to look at how much they're spending on pay-per-click. Now, I'm not 100% sure this is accurate, but according to SpyFu, they're spending about $40,000, about $278,000 a month on pay-per-click. And if you look at the last 5 years, according to March, right, they really started spending in November, and now they're spending 278,000. So again, I don't know how accurate this is. It might not be accurate. It looks like they were spending money on September, March, and they stopped spending money. Now they're spending a ton of money. So $278,000 on ads. Now, if you look at their transparency, we use a tool called Google Ads Transparency Center that looks at their ads, and they have different accounts. And this is a verified account, so you can see the ads are running. And they're using a lot of pre-roll ads, really branded information. A1 garage door. This is an ad. Yes, we replace any springs, will be any price. So that's kind of the price match guarantee. That's the offer they're using. I wish I could see their landing pages, but I can't see their landing pages. But if we had like actual access to their account, we can give a really good analysis on the actual account. But this kind of gives you an idea, perspective. They're spending a ton of money on ads, right? That's just a reality. And this gives you an understanding of what they're doing online to really get the best results possible. Other thing is that, if you look at their Instagram, they have 6,000 followers, A1 garage door. They're posting consistent content. Content looks really good. And they're posting all types of content, not just, hey, here's images. It's just kind of funny, good content that really kind of drives more visibility to your brand and to your website. The other thing I want to look at is Meta, right? So if you look at Meta ads, you can see the ads are running. And the ads are running are really not complicated. At the end of the day, if you're a local business, if you're trying to run ads on Meta, it's the same formula every time, especially for a local company. It's having a good offer, having good creative, having good landing pages with good tracking, and just switching the creative, switching the offers on a consistent basis to get the best results possible. But I want to look at some of the ads. So if you look at this, right, they're mixing creative in terms of videos, in terms of images, in terms of offer. If you look at the creatives, they have over 250 results. In terms of the ads that are getting the most impressions, this is the ad that is driving actually the most impressions right here. This one right here, the top right here, summary details. There are multiple variations of this ad. It's a simple, think your garage door is just a little outdoor, ignore the signs. Small issues can turn into big problems. A1 garage door is offering 29 tune-up special to keep your door running smoothly. Again, 24 hours a day. These are just simple ad. Book your service today, get back to your normal time. If you look at the ad, there's nothing super sexy about this. So I'm gonna play the whole thing, but basically what this shows you is that it's showing an image of the actual garage door being kind of disrepaired. And this is something that is very common in home services space. If you have a roof that is completely messed up and you show an image of that catches a lot of attention. We've done this before. We've done this before with plumbing and HVAC at these companies, with roofing, and that catches a lot of attention. You see how the creative actually images is that. And then the call to action, the offer is a $29 tune-up. Learn more, and it goes to the landing pages here. The landing page it's a well-done design landing page. It has several different ways to contact them in terms of scheduling, in terms of the calling, and they're doing ads. I wonder what the cost per lead and cost per booked appointment is. For us, typically when we run these ads, we don't do lead forms as much. We found the quality of lead is not as high. The quality of lead when you do either a multi-step form to a landing page, or just a multi-step form where they can actually book an appointment, is much higher than actual lead forms, right? So those are the things. So these are the ads that are getting the most impressions, but look at the amount of creative they're really using. They're a mixture of images, many different hooks, many different angles that really makes good sense. And you're just things that they're running, they're really doing a good job with, that I want to show you guys. The one thing too they do is that they have a really good review process, right? So if you look at the reviews, they're using different tools, automation tools that makes it super simple to leave your customers reviews. So this is something that is not a manual process. It's all automated, right? Think about that. It's all automated. So that's how they do this through actual scale, because getting your people to leave reviews is really important for you to be successful. At the same time, they also have on the website, they also have a dedicated review page. So that is a big deal because it can invite users to leave review and displays the content actually on the site. And they also have the ability to leave Facebook reviews as well. So in terms of hierarchy, the most important, obviously Google reviews, but you can actually ask for reviews in an additional way to actually get the results you want, because Google reviews are not the only game in town, right? Now, another thing I want to point out, if you look at their branding and the locations, right? They are keyword plus location and city state. That's something that your SEO team should be doing. I think it's a great job that they're doing on that. They also have a lot of near you language. Garage door company near me. They're trying to rank for that. A lot of the research I've done, about 80% of the keywords that drive the most leads are those near me keywords that actually drive the most leads. The other thing I want to point out is this. They are getting summarized by AI garage reviews, right? If you look at this, A1 Garage Door Services receives mixed reviews, often praised for fast, professional service, but criticized for high pressure sales and sometimes inflated costs. While many customers appreciate their same-day service and knowledgeable technicians, other firms are overcharging. So this is happening to a lot of home service brands. Basically, what's happening is that there's a ton of reviews, and at that scale, they're working with thousands of customers, and at that, you're gonna have some negative reviews. So what Google is doing is kind of summarizing all the reviews. So I'm sure they have, a lot of negative reviews. They probably have a strategy there that they're trying to report every review to try to, delete some of the reviews, because that really kind of impacts some of the things that you see. And if you look at the disclaimer, most of the stuff is actually from a Reddit thread, and Reddit is really difficult thing to overcome. So I know services out there that can delete Reddit threads. They're not cheap, they're expensive, but there's definitely services out there that can do that. And in terms of the actual reputation, that's probably the most difficult one to get rid of, most expensive. Google reviews is actually not that difficult to get rid of, actually pretty simple. Another thing I want to point out is the importance of speed. You see, same day garage door repair. In today's world, we want instant gratification. Even if things are not done instantly, people kind of get angry because of that. So when you offer the ability that's instant, that provides people peace of mind, that allows people to instantly, to have an emergency, allows them to book right away. That's a really great thing to say, especially in home services. The home services is basically two types of main services: emergency services and regular service maintenance, and just regular services, right? Just are more expensive. Those are the things you have to kind of matter in terms of the actual location. There's one thing that I couldn't find. Let me see if I can find it. A1 Garage Door Worthy Club. Okay. So one thing I want to go over is the last thing, is that they have a recurring revenue business model. If you look at this, for only $12.95 a month or $155 a year, Worthy Club members receive all these different benefits. It's just a way to create recurring revenue. What this does is it kind of allows you to sell at a higher multiple if you want to sell. But at the end of the day, if you're in the home services space, one of the drawbacks is that you have to sell every month, right? Unless you have like pest control services where it's like a recurring revenue, you have to sell every month, right? You start at zero, so you have to keep selling every single month, versus other business models where it's recurring revenue. But there's ways to include recurring revenue in your home service brand that really makes it much more sticky. It also provides more cash flow to your business. So this is something that it's very easy to set up and maintain, but it's something that many home service companies do not do. So a lot of companies are doing this, and a lot of people in the home services space are doing this, but look how well it's. I think the design is really good, and it's a worry-free club, $12.95 a month. It's something that they can easily sign up for, and it provides recurring revenue. So hope you guys like this video, and subscribe to the channel to let us know if you know more information. Thank you. So when you step back and look at everything A1 Garage Door is doing, one thing becomes very clear. They didn't grow to over $350 million in revenue by relying on just one marketing channel. They built a complete marketing ecosystem. They invested heavily in local SEO across dozens of locations, a website designed to generate leads, thousands of SEO pages built over time, paid advertising across Google, Meta, strong review generation systems, and consistent branding that people recognize. That's what marketing at scale looks like in the home service industry. Now, most contractors don't need 86 locations or 90,000 reviews to be successful, but the principles behind what they're doing, things like local search dominance, strong offers, consistent content, and smart lead capture, can be applied to almost any home service business. And that's a big takeaway here. The companies that are winning today aren't just running ads or doing a little SEO. They're building systems that generate leads consistently. Hopefully this breakdown gave you some insight into what that looks like behind the scenes. If you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing more breakdowns like this of successful companies in the home service space. Thanks for watching.